That DJ battle in the movie Juice, what was that like, man? Was that something that, you know what I'm saying, you could identify with?
Absolutely, because one of the DJs, actually Vanguard, he's one of the DJs in the movie. He and I had just battled. He was down with the Superman, and so he was like, I want to battle him, and my man had a barbershop. So we battled in the barbershop. We put turntables in the battle. It's something that could have been in a movie. And we went in there and went at it in the barbershop. And I had Baby G from the original concept sat there and watched it as well, because he's nice. He's crazy, and I was always a fan of his. And my man Norms, he's like, yo, Butcher wants you to come and check this battle out. So he sat there, and that's when I actually met C4. Afterwards from the shop, and he was playing me, and he lived in my neighborhood, and I had no clue. His dad was like a old school DJ, like, the cats, like a Kool Herc. They just played records and stuff, but his dad was down with Richard Long, and they designed Bertha speakers in the Vegas for Studio 54. So his father was legendary in the neighborhood, Phase 1, and he had his record collection, and he played me his stuff, and he was crazy on the tables too. I was like, you nice, bro. And then, he drove me home. We both lived in Corona, and I invited him up, and, to get busy and stuff. And he did his thing, but he's funny because years later, he tells me, he's like, yo, I didn't want to say nothing to you, bro, but when I left your crib, I was about to give up teaching. But he was like, because he's like, I'm an egomaniac. Nobody could beat me in my mind. He said, but you was doing stuff I've never seen before, and I couldn't figure it out. And I left distraught. And he's like, yo, I was going to give it up. I was like, you crazy. No, you wasn't. Because he was nice. C4 is a crazy dude, but that's what it was all about, man. I was around a lot of cats, Raider, all these cats were nice. So we just pushed each other to the next level.
You mentioned, you just kind of slid in and mentioned the group, which a lot of the hip hop world might not realize, but you said original concept.
Yeah, man.
And, most people don't know original concept. The world came to know and love is Dr. Dre and their lover.
Dr. Dre. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Of your TV Raps fame.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The original concept, Bite My Style. You know what I'm saying? That record. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge me, Meg.
Knowledge is crazy. So, them songs are crazy.
I'm a hip hop head. I'm a hip hop historian. But I wanted to ask you something too about the DMC battles, the DJ battles, because I moved to New York in the late 80s. My cousin is from Brooklyn, from LG, Lafayette Gardens. I'm coming from California. I'm trying to be the illest lyricist, but we wanted that approval. It was everything to get the stamp from New York. And in the late 80s, one of a DJ from my home, from LA again, from actually Compton, DJ Aladdin won the DMC.
Oh, I saw that. I was there when he won that. Him and Miz.
For real.
I was there that night. Yeah, I was there.
That meant everything for us on the West Coast, to get somebody from the West Coast to get that stamp. You know what I'm saying?
But y'all cats had a bunch of dudes. Y'all had a lot of cats coming out of California, dudes that were nice. You know what I'm saying? Q and all those. What is it? Rock?
Yeah, Cuba came later from the Bay Area. Yeah.
But early on, y'all had a bunch of dudes, man. Like, the fast scratching dudes and stuff. And when I saw Aladdin, reminds me of the cat AC Vinny Vince that I came up under. When I was watching him, I was like, oh man, that's Vinny reincarnated. Like the speed and the flair, Vinny was exactly like that. And Miz was kind of more like a cut creator, just really focused on the tables and doing his thing. So like those are like my influences. So what a lot of people don't realize, with DJs back then using real vinyl, certain pieces of vinyl were designed, like they didn't intentionally, I don't think, design it for DJs, but the vinyl was very light with thicker grooves. So you were able to do things with the vinyl without the record skipping as much. Albums like the disco break, some of the songs you could, others you couldn't, because they would squeeze the grooves together to get more songs on the record. And those particular records were very difficult to use. And because of that, a lot of DJs all used the same records because they were easy to do things with. But that was a favorite amongst all DJs, Rock the Bells, because it just had that flair. You could do all types of scratching and tricks and back spinning, and it would like change the beat. That's fresh. Same thing. The record was like paper light, and you just felt like you were on a cloud scratching and stuff. So that's why you always heard those specific records used, which is dope.
I didn't know that. That's DJ 101.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
dope.
Yes, sir.
So you are credited with providing the sound for what would be Kool G Rap's solo career. You had a relationship with Polo and G Rap. So what was that like? You know, when the split happened, and you know what I mean, you were there because you were there before they split, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So and the split was money based. You know, Polo felt like he put G Rap on and he wasn't getting the money. You know, he felt like things would go half and half. You know, G had a different view of that. And I was kind of in the middle because, you know, G Rap's my man. Like I said, we were running around the neighborhood, you know, rapping and battling people. And Polo's like my mentor. I'm his little brother. So he was only comfortable with me coming in there and taking that role because G Rap was trying to give that to another cat named Camille, who was a known DJ in the neighborhood. And his parents owned a record store. So Camille had a ton of records, all types of loops and breaks. He was a collector. And so G was like, you know, man, if I get Camille down, Butch, like I can use his record collection, you know, find beats and stuff and take them to Marley, have them put them together. Camille wasn't having it. He was like, nah, I'm not bringing any of my records to the studio. And so G-Rap was like, well, what do I need you for? You know, like, rest in peace to Camille. He's not here with us anymore either. But, you know, so that didn't work out. And then he found out what I can do. And so he laughed because, like I said, we were together every day and I never told him what I could do. I just would listen to him talk about it. And, you know, he took me to the studio to audition. Eric B was executive producer of Wanted Dead or Alive. So he had Eric there. He wanted him to see what I could do. And I was just cutting. And they had Hoover's back in the background. Lodge had just finished it and he had just laid his vocals. And I just started scratching to it. But they kept the scratches. And at the end of the record, you hear the scratches faded up with me cutting the scratches of the record and stuff. But that was me showing Eric B that I can get busy and stuff. So there was no tension. You know, I stayed out of that, but I know what the tension was and why I was there. And it was right on both sides. I'm not going to say G-Rap was wrong. I'm not going to say, you know, Polo's right. You know, people felt like he didn't do anything. Polo wasn't a turntablist. He was a playboy, you know what I'm saying? Right. Polo had all the women, you know what I'm saying? Polo was that dude. But he had the connections. He put G-Rap on. So in his mind, it's like, hey, I brought this together. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with Butcher doing that role. I was cool doing the form. I would put the show tapes together with a crazy cuts, you know, to make him look good. Because I wasn't going to the shows. I would do the show tape. Yo, Cuzzo, here you go. You know, I wanted him to look good. So he could stand there and pretend to be doing that stuff. But that wasn't Polo. Everybody knew that wasn't him. So when it fizzled out, it just happened. You know, I felt bad about it because, you know, I had love for both guys.